Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Today I'm taking you on a mountain bike ride where I'm gonna challenge myself to take 4 landscape photos around noontime when I usually have my camera away because of the nasty lighting conditions. I'll be following a 3 miles route starting right here, then in the mountain, gonna pass through a clear cut. After that, I'm gonna hit the road again to finish my trip right here. Now let's go for a ride. For the past 20 years, anyone who asked me for any tips about landscape photography received the same answer. Get up early and shoot only around sunrise and sunset. I have to admit I still follow these rules today because it helped me create some of my best work over the years. However, I believe we should not limit ourselves to this rule and go out to take photographs whenever we feel like it. So this challenge is a way for me to break the habit of perfectionism and stimulate my creative juices without thinking too much about the results and instead keep enjoying the learning process. Arriving at the top of the mountain, I was looking everywhere trying to find my first subject. After looking under a shaded forest path, I came across a bunch of green ferns that immediately caught my attention because one of them was lighter than the others. So I made it my first subject. I forgot to mention that in order to reduce the weight of my backpack, I also challenged myself to take all my images with my Canon 70-200 f4 lens. Okay, so after experimenting with different composition, I decided to place the fern right in the middle of the frame and use the darker background to make the subject stand out. I played around with different apertures and settled on f5.6 to help soften the background without getting parts of my subject out of focus. Here's the image. At this point, I was satisfied with the result, so I decided to move on to the next shot. Now, there's an obvious downside to using a mountain bike for landscape photography, which is carrying a lot of weight on your shoulders. But the fun part is that you can cover a lot of ground and enjoy the downhills. Still in the forest, I was looking to find any trees that might stand out from the crowd. Unfortunately, midday woodland photography is not easy because of the wide range of dark shadows and spotty highlights caused by the angle of the sun. But that's part of the challenge. My hopes were still there because I knew I was about to pass through a clear cut further down the road with more distance between the trees. So I went straight there and found a huge tree standing alone, so I made it my next subject. Because the foreground took too much out of the base of the tree, I positioned myself higher on a small ridge to help create space in the shot. Since I was shooting handheld and there was a lot of wind, I played around with my shutter speed to make sure it was fast enough to freeze the frame. Here I decided to go with a black and white image and a square crop. Here's the image. Of course, the conditions were not perfect, but I could imagine how beautiful this scene would be in autumn with morning fog and vibrant colors. So I'll definitely come back in a few months. At this point, my 40-pound bag paired with the hot and humid weather started to play with my head. And to make life a little more difficult, I forgot to bring my bottle of water. So while I take a break before passing out, you can certainly help me hydrate my channel by watering the subscribe button and by flooding the comment section with your thoughts about my challenge. Take your time, I'll wait right here. Are you good now? Okay, so let's move on with the video. After riding about half a mile, I passed through a small pond of water that immediately caught my attention. Believe me, it wasn't because I thought about drinking the water in it. It was more because of the interesting texture and vivid colors that it offers. Since the shot was all about tone and texture, I knew my polarizer filter would be a great way to help cut reflection on the water and provide more saturated colors. So I looked around trying to find intriguing elements in the water and started to work out some composition. I was really impressed by how much of a difference this filter made in the way the scene looked. After fiddling around, I finally settled on one simple composition and focus stacked 3 images to achieve sharpness throughout the scene. Here's the image. It doesn't look this way on the video, but my legs started to be a bit shaky, probably because I was dehydrated. I'm just kidding, but not really. So moving on, I wasn't able to focus on anything else other than water. So a small creek by the side of the road seems like an obvious choice for my next composition. Since I was on a private property, I first asked the owner for permission to take photos, and he kindly said yes. Then a miracle happened. Out of nowhere, he offered me a bottle of water. Let's just say the force is real. Now my thinking was getting a little bit better. So I took out my camera and started playing around with different composition. The light passing through the trees was partially hitting the waterfall, creating interesting highlights on the water. I decided to take multiple different angles with the same 1-second shutter speed to create movement on the water. At this point, I have another location in mind before ending my challenge. But first, here's the collection of images. I have to say that I was happy with the result of these black and white shots, but like I mentioned earlier, I wanted to stop at one more location before going home. So after packing my gear, I hit the road again and continue looking for interesting subjects on my way back home. If you're interested about mushrooms, you can look at my last video right there.